How's it, punters? Welcome back to the BSB podcast. We've got another action-packed episode today. A lot to unpack from lots of different sports. With me, as always, is Simon. My nose is a little bit runny today, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit strange. Simon, crazy weekend of sport. Let me just ask you straight off the bat, what was your highlight of the weekend? A single highlight from everything that we saw over the weekend.
Sure. Well, I mean, I really enjoyed that Liverpool match just because it's always great to see, a team score 9 goals. That was fantastic. But I also really enjoyed although it wasn't an event, so to speak, my both teams to score winner coming in quite easily with Palace and City. But yeah, it really was an action-packed weekend, which I mean started with a much-needed win for Man United, I think, although they didn't dominate that game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the highlight for me was also the Liverpool win.
Mm,
Crazy win, but we'll unpack that in a bit. But yeah, let's just jump straight into the Premier League. I think that both where a lot of action happened over the
yeah,
weekend. Lots of great fixtures, lots of great results. Yeah, Man United picking up a win. I think that was a Friday fixture.
it
Oh,
was. Yeah, no, it
well,
was the early
the early
Saturday
Saturday
kickoff.
fixture. Yes, the
Mm.
early Saturday one. I caught bits of that game. I think I watched about 2/3 of it. It wasn't all that entertaining. So
It wasn't all that entertaining, and
yeah,
I must say, Southampton were actually. I mean, they played well.
yeah, they
They've
could
been a
have.
team.
De Gea was playing very well as well for
He
United.
was. No, he absolutely was. And I think I must say I've been very down on Southampton going into the season and the first few weeks. I know they beat Leicester away the previous week, but I thought United would make easy work of them. And look, I mean, United beat them, but they certainly didn't dominate them in the stats. And I think I'm not going to say they were lucky to win that match, but it was fair. But yeah, not exactly the most encouraging display compared to what we saw last week from Man United against Liverpool.
Yeah, and I'm still not interested in touching anything to do with United at the moment. I just can't
Mm,
trust them, even against the weaker teams. So,
yeah.
but yeah, good result for some teams. Other teams this weekend. Then we had that big 9-0 thrashing. I had Salah in my fantasy Premier League team, and he was my captain. He didn't score a single point.
Can you
Not a
believe? Who would have
single
ever
point.
thought? I mean,
Nine
the
goals
chances of 9 goals and not. I mean, you would think he would have a brace at the minimum,
or an
right?
assist or something.
Yeah, but that was actually the biggest ever EPL win.
It was
Biggest ever
tied. It was
EPL win
tied, wasn't
of
it?
any team.
Because it was that
Um,
United Southampton game. I think that was
oh, was it? Okay, I
nine,
read
also
that was the
9-0.
biggest. Okay, yeah, but it also helped Liverpool actually pick up their first win of the season.
Yeah,
They haven't actually won a game yet, so finally get a little W in the column there.
yeah. Not too much to unpack from that. Just a huge result. And I was just wondering the other day, when are we going to see another one of these big scoring results? Which game is it going to be in the season? And I thought
Yeah,
it was going to be one of these two kind of relegation fodder
sure.
sides
Well,
taking each other on as they sometimes often are. These 6-5s or these 7-4s.
yes, yes. I mean, the fact I really, I tipped up both teams to score in City Palace, which came in quite handily. But I mean, that hat trick from Haaland in 19 minutes was also
Yes,
just fantastic. I
incredible.
mean,
Coming
obviously ending.
down again, come back 2-0 down.
Yeah. Again, coming back. I mean, obviously, one of them was an own goal from Stones, which put Palace in the lead in the first half. But yeah, that Haaland hat trick was magic. I mean, 19 minutes, and yeah, put the game to bed pretty handily for City
Hmm.
there.
And I fancied Brentford to get a result against
Yeah, that
Everton.
came in.
I also fancied Arsenal against Fulham. So pretty decent weekend. I mean, not. I guess all the bets that I liked would have won. I think
Mm,
the bookies probably suffered a bit this weekend. I mean, Chelsea beat
yeah,
Leicester. Chelsea conceded again there, which was interesting. Liverpool smashing Bournemouth, City beating Palace, Arsenal making a bit of a meal of beating Fulham. I was actually out
mm.
at the pub for that game. Arsenal, yeah, looking good still, but I'm not too sure going forward. I
Yeah,
want to see more
definitely. I
from
would
them.
say the least surprising week of the four so far in
Yeah,
terms of results. Yeah,
and then Newcastle getting that St Maximum cracker to get a draw with
right.
Wolves. West Ham finally getting a result against Villa, and then Spurs, doing the business against Forest. Not too much else to unpack there. I mean, pretty much as expected. I think if you bet all the favourites this weekend, you probably would have done very, very well.
Mm. Yeah, for sure.
And then, Simon, let's chat about the rugby, or let's rather not chat about it, because I actually completely forgot about the rugby. I woke up because I was so looking forward to the football on Saturday. I was going
Yes.
down to the pub. That kind of thing. I just completely forgot about it. I
Yeah.
slept in, and then I woke up and I saw I had a notification on my phone for the Argentina New Zealand game.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that means that South Africa played this morning. And I'm like, what happened? And then I looked and I was like, oh God. And then I actually looked even further and I was like, oh wow. It's actually like just looking at the score, I'm like, that we lost. But then I'm like, I actually looked into the score. I'm like, wow, we actually did really badly.
We did do very badly, and it took two tries from Quacker Smith right at the end to kind of make the scoreline semi-respectable. Yeah, look, I wasn't bullish on the Springboks, but I said I would have erred on their side at the minus 4.5 points there. Unfortunately, this game, there always seems to be something these days that just kind of like marred by controversy, and this time it was Faf de Klerk's unintentional slap of Nick White at scrum time. Which like, to be honest, I think Faf could have been a little bit more careful when he swung his arm, but I have to agree with most South African fans there and say Nick White's reaction, kind of dropping to his knees, and it was just
Ronaldo-esque.
a little bit over the top.
He's playing
Look, I
rugby.
think
Right?
I think South Africans. Oh, absolutely, he's playing rugby, and I think South Africans often, can be guilty of kind of looking for some sort of excuse in these kind of situations. But I do think that was the wrong call. That said, the Australians, they kept South Africa trialists until the final 6 minutes of the match. So I think that says a lot about their grit. And they managed to frustrate South Africa a lot because we were all over them and they were just defending like absolute champions. Yeah, so we went down 10-0 in the first 7 minutes, I think it was. So, yeah, that's 8 consecutive tests now for the Springboks in Australia
Yeah,
without
we
a
mentioned
win.
that last week, eh?
Yeah, so maybe that's something that that sort of Aussie hoodoo on the box after all won't be broken. But yeah, I don't think the Springboks will be hurting as much as New Zealand though, who obviously went and lost against Argentina.
Yes.
And double digit favorites for sure. I didn't look at the cap, but I think it was a 17 and a half or something like that. So the Pumas are now top of the log, which is in what's I think been quite a fascinating start to the rugby championship in terms of results, actually.
Yeah, very difficult to call. Well,
Mm.
I mean, from the results that we've had, but I still think New Zealand probably going to be the side that. Well, it's not going to be us. It's not going to be Argentina. I think that's
We'll
where I'm going
see.
to throw
Yeah.
my predictions. But yeah, very
Yeah. One thing.
disappointing for us. I didn't watch the match.
One
I
thing
saw
about
the
that,
results.
that just going back to that slap or whatever you want to call it from Faf. I think what really didn't do him any favors was, the way he walked up to the ref and he just had this like really like cheeky grin on his face.
He just
I'm
looked
not.
like Faf basically.
Yeah, and I don't think, I'm not saying that the ref wouldn't have pulled the yellow card, but I just think that was the wrong attitude to have. He didn't have to beg for mercy, but I just think a more neutral sort of approach would have, made him look a lot more guilty than he really was actually. So I just think that was the wrong kind of attitude of Faf, and he needs to actually just keep it in line.
And then going on to other national sides, we thrashed England in the first test. I actually followed the second test because I was quite excited, and
Mm.
we got smashed. They did to us what we did to them.
Yeah, it was the whole. The whole last week was turned completely on its head, with England beating us by an innings and even more runs because we beat them by an innings in seven last time, and they beat us by an innings in 87, I think it was. So yeah, even more convincing victory for them over us this time around. But yeah, nobody in that upper order who performed so well in the first test, Avia, Algo, Markram, none of them could build a partnership, and we ended up scoring only 151 runs. Mainly undone by the bowling of Broad and Anderson, the fast bowlers. They made us come undone. But I thought England were a little bit cheeky declaring it at 415, despite our poor,
160
performance
or
in the
whatever it
first
was.
innings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a little daring, but clearly was the right decision
Yeah, got
to
to
put
go
us
for the
into
win. Be aggressive. I mean, you still
yeah
have a
to put us
300
into bat
run
again.
lead.
Exactly. I suppose they thought, well, there's a chance that these guys, being South Africa, can play for the draw, so let's just kind of close the door on that. So it was actually the right call. I thought it was a little bit bold, but
Yeah.
yeah, only Peterson and Van der Dussen could really get anything going for us. But yeah, again, our middle to low order this time around in often, which often does happen, just kind of completely collapsed, which sort of snuffed any chances of us getting back into the match.
Mm.
So the third and final test is going to be at the Oval, and that'll be on Monday.
Well, what do you
Um,
reckon there? England win?
Yeah, look, again, not surprising. England are back at the sort of same sort of price they were to in the first test. Sort of 9 to 10. Yeah, look, I would be surprised if this one is another whitewash for either team. I think this we might actually see a I'm hoping we'll see a better contest because the first two have been very one-sided. I'm hoping we see the best
Yes, a
test
draw
of them
or
all.
something like that. Like
Well, yeah,
a close fought draw or some
yeah, but
drama or
if I had to go with my gut, I would say England win this.
yeah,
Quite
same.
quite a tight test, but who knows? It's very hard to tell. I find test matches harder and harder and harder to predict, and it's just gone to the days where it was very rare for a team to be bowled out. In for under sort of
Mm.
150. It used
A
to kind of
quality
never
team,
happen.
especially, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, you often have a team bowled out in less than a day these days, which just didn't really used to happen
Mm.
back then. I just think T20 cricket has changed things a little bit.
Mm. Used to be a grind. Used to be
Mm.
a long grind. But yeah, and then Simon, we had some car racing going on in Spa in Belgium, one of your favorite
Yeah,
tracks.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that track. Yeah, so I called this one spot on. I mean, I fancied Max chances. I thought even at odds of even money, I thought that there was actually a little bit of value there. And I mean, Joe, he's really, really pulled away in the championship now. Especially, I mean, the win that this win made was made all the more impressive because of where he started. He actually got a grid penalty. There were quite a few races who got a grid penalty because they exceeded the number of allowed engine parts. And so Verstappen started in 14th, but it took him only 12 laps to find himself in the lead of the race again. And then he just kept extending his lead and was actually able to overcut Sainz and Perez by lap 19, which is just crazy to
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I mean, okay, so it's a 44 lap race. So so before halfway through the race, he had come back from 14th and got so far in the lead that he could pit and still stay ahead. It's just
yeah. No, it's
absolutely
dominant.
insane. So yeah, I just wow. I think that Red Bull really they could really honestly run away with this. Yeah, he ended up winning by 19 seconds. And another 1-2 finish for Red Bull. So Perez finished in second, and Sainz was behind him. So yeah, looking not too good for Ferrari. And yeah, we'll preview now, but we're going into Max's home race next. So
Oh, let's jump
take
straight
all the
into it,
sum.
and then we'll jump into the
Okay.
to the Premier
Yeah.
League after that. I think, seeing that we're on the Formula One. So
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
one,
Well, I mean, yeah, Max is now the shortest odds I can remember since actually Hamilton his dominance in 2019. 1.57 to win his home Grand Prix, and I can't say it's undeserved. And I think honestly, if you bet against him, it'll be at your own peril. It's I mean, obviously the Orange Army will be out in full force there. He'll have tons and tons of fans. And it's this race. I wouldn't say that it's absolutely suited to Red Bull down to the T, but it's a lot shorter. 4.62 kilometers and 72 laps. You're kind of going from
mm,
one of the longest tracks last week to one of the shortest tracks
shortest,
this week.
lots of laps.
Yeah, and look, it's faster than average. It's got some nice high speed turns. Um, not nearly as pretty as the last race. It's there's a few sand dunes and so on. It's near the North Sea
The
coastline.
North Sea,
Yeah,
yeah, I've
so.
been up there. It's very
Mm.
beautiful, kind of sparse.
Yeah. Look, I think I don't have a lot to say from a betting perspective, honestly, about this. But I think if you like Max to win this race, I think your best option might be if you don't want to take that,
Mm,
1.57 or 1.6, maybe if you're lucky. I think what you should try, the best strategy might be to hope he doesn't qualify very well, and then try get him at a slightly bigger price, and he will more than likely scoot up the grid on Sunday and very very possibly win. The problem is his ability to do that, and having done that
it's
more
going to
than
be
once this
priced in,
season,
eh?
it's going to be priced in. So you're not going to get a huge price, but you certainly might get well over even money if he really doesn't qualify well, or at least a little bit over even money in the qualies. So yeah, but I can't really look past him. I think there aren't the biggest odds around, but I think you have to expect Hamilton. after he had a disaster on Sunday. He had a collision with Alonso, which was completely his fault, which you honestly don't see very often. I mean, Hamilton was 100% to
Mm.
blame for that crash, and was very apologetic and so on. And I think that he will really really want to make amends for that. But I still don't like the price. 11 to 1 to me is not big enough for Hamilton at this
Mm.
stage. When you have such a dominant
Mm.
champion at the moment. So I would, if I was going to look at any of the other races, I would look at Hamilton just because he's the kind of guy who will just absolutely give it his all after making a very very silly mistake last week. But I'm not hell of excited about that. I think try and maybe hope that Max doesn't qualify well and try and get him around evens or just under evens. But it's a very tricky one to bet this week, I think.
All right, thanks, Simon. Then let's jump over to some of the Premier League that's on a short game week. So they're actually having quite a few midweek fixtures on Tuesday tonight and a couple tomorrow. We've
Yeah.
got Crystal Palace taking on the Hollywood Bets Brentford FC. Other standout fixtures, not too much really. I mean, there's Liverpool versus Newcastle, I think, which is
Mm.
probably the biggest one. And then on the 3rd of September, we've got Everton versus Liverpool, which I guess historically is a big one, uh, but not so much anymore. And then there's
Yeah,
Arsenal,
not
there's United versus Arsenal, which in the kind of double game week vibe. But
Yeah, I must say I'm quite excited for that early kickoff. That Palace Brentford game should be a good one. Two teams I really enjoy watching.
I
Um,
can't believe
actually,
Palace are 2.1 here. It's actually a very decent price on a solid squad like them.
yeah. Look, I mean, I think look Brentford have showed that they are meant to be here as well too. I must say that looks about right to me. But there is a market that I really like in this one, and that's over 2.5 goals. And I was actually quite surprised that this was odds against. You can get 2.05, and you might even find bigger odds than that. I mean, I think both teams will totally believe they've got a chance to get all 3 points here. And although Palace are worthy favourites, you've got Sahar, Jordan Ayew,
Mm.
Josh Da Silva, and so on, and not the strongest defenses either. So I must say, over 2.5 looks a really nice bet to me at odds against 2.05. So that'll be my selection in that one. What are your thoughts on that one, Rob?
Yeah,
Or any other?
I just fancy Crystal Palace to pick up a result. Yeah, I think they'll win.
Yeah.
That's why I'm happy to take anything over evens. It's not a
Mm,
big bet. It's just one that kind of stands out to me. But
yeah.
it's not going to be my bet of the week. But that's where I would go with that early kickoff. Brighton against Fulham. Brighton are looking pretty solid this season. It's nothing flashy, nothing spectacular. Looking at that game, and I'm looking at under 2.5. I don't think. I mean, Fulham are having a blast up front with Mitrovic and
Mm,
having no troubles in front of goal. But under 2.5 at 1.8 doesn't seem too bad against a very strong Brighton defense.
yeah. No,
Um,
absolutely. I mean, they could most certainly keep Fulham out there.
because I mean they're going to approach that game, with let's get away with a point kind of attitude.
Mm,
And then there's Chelsea versus Southampton, and I think Chelsea at 1.64 are pretty decent bets against Southampton. Actually, I don't I can't find
yeah.
any
Uh,
reason to kind of think Southampton might cause an upset other than the missing Chelsea players. But I mean they've got a lot of squad depth.
Yeah, well, I think the reason you're getting a quite nice price on Chelsea there as well is because Southampton had a pretty good showing against United, and they also beat Leicester away the week before that. So, I'm with you there. Though I would far rather back Chelsea in that spot at a slightly inflated price because I
Mm.
just don't see Southampton as a I mean I see them as a relegation
I mean, and
contender this week. So
if you look at who they've played or beaten, I mean, United are absolutely terrible.
mm,
Leicester have had a terrible start to their season as well.
yeah,
Chelsea haven't had a great start by any means, but they have put in some good performances. That performance against Spurs, and they've also had a couple of bad ones, but they do look like they are slowly coming together. So I think that's a really nice price to
yeah.
take. So that's going to be one of my accumulator bets.
Well, I think the match we can look forward to the most, I think, over this double game week though, must be United hosting Arsenal on Sunday.
Yes, yes.
I think that's definitely the highlight of the weekend. I think if United can get a result here, they'll kind of believe their season is sort of well and truly underway. Again, I don't hold high hopes, but I think that a win here would really
Mm.
be somewhat of turning a corner somewhat. But sure, I was looking into some of the stats on this. I mean, Gunners have won 5 on the spin now, and they're actually the only EPL team that have won all 4 of their matches
Yes.
so
Yeah.
far. Let's say I actually think they should go into the slight favourites to win, and the
Yes.
bookies have got this as United shots. I'm not quite sure I agree with that.
No.
Obviously, United is the home side. I totally understand that, but I actually like I would actually back the Gunners here up for a straight win, and I think if you look around the moment you're getting like 2.75, or if you look around, you will find, especially on an underdog, something closer to 3, 2.9, 2.95, 3. You might even find a 3 hanging somewhere. I think that's a steal on the
Yeah.
Gunners,
Yeah.
honestly. I would take that price just straight up for the win. Not even bother with a double chance or but just for a bit of value. Just take them straight up Arsenal to win the match. I think no one would be surprised. That to me looks like a good bet, actually.
Yeah, I think Arsenal have a really good shot at winning that one as well.
Yeah.
I like that price straight up as well, but I also want to. I'm going to wait until the next game week, well, until the last set of fixtures,
Mm. Yeah.
because United have they could pick up a win against Leicester on the road because Leicester, as I said, just aren't great at the moment.
Mm.
So that would make them. That would probably send Arsenal's price even longer because
Yes.
if Arsenal win on in their match, it's not really they're playing at home against Aston Villa. It's kind of
Yeah.
expected.
Yep.
So yeah, actually, Arsenal beat Aston Villa at home at 1.47 is one of my best bets of the week.
Yeah.
I really fancy that one. I think they're going to put a couple past Villa. Arsenal 2-3-0. Another one is Liverpool versus Newcastle United. This is a match that Liverpool always dominate in, Simon. And the last time I can remember Newcastle doing well in a match against Liverpool was like 10 years ago. So
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's priced pretty much exactly where I expected it.
yeah,
I'm excited to watch this match.
yes,
And I would not be surprised if we breached the Liverpool defense. But
yes,
I'm not super excited about the both teams to score price there.
no,
It's a coin flip. If it was even money or bigger, I might be interested there. But yeah, I don't really have any solid recommendations. 'Cause I think the sort of the 1.3 on Liverpool looks about right, but I'm excited to see what to watch the match for sure.
yeah. I think that's going to be quite an entertaining one. I think Liverpool will beat us quite comfortably, even with the signings, Isak
Hmm.
and there's a couple, but there's also a lot of guys missing for Newcastle. So,
Yeah, there's quite a few injuries on both sides in the
but the,
match.
but the
Especially
but
there.
the injuries on Newcastle side are a lot more crucial than the injuries on the
Yeah, well, that's
Liverpool
the thing. When
side.
you've got a bench like Liverpool, if you're missing, Oxford Chamberlain and and Nunez, it's not such a big deal when you've got such a you got so much talent to draw from.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like Newcastle's missing. I mean, Wilson's key striker.
right.
There's the Brazilian whose name I can never pronounce. That new signing.
Yeah, no.
He's also Guilherme or what? Yeah, he's also out.
Hmm.
Gamiris and yeah, so I think it's going to be a bit of a thrashing. I think we're going to come undone against them completely. But that's fine. We have to lose. We've at some point. So yeah,
Sure.
I think 3-0 Liverpool there is
Yeah,
my
that's good. Yeah, I think 2-1 actually. That would be my
okay.
prediction of this game because I think it probably will go over. I like the both teams to score. I'm not excited about the price, but I think 2-1, 2-1, potentially 3-1. But I think 2-1 Liverpool. I think
Okay.
that's what it'll go. Yeah.
Well, here's my Premier League bet. The booking code's up on screen. I'm taking Chelsea to beat Southampton. I'm taking Arsenal to beat Aston Villa, Liverpool to beat Newcastle, and then I'm going with Spurs to beat Fulham in the next kind of game week on the 3rd of September. I would have included something with Arsenal against United, maybe double chance, but you can't do that as far as I'm aware on bet slips that have the same teams on some bookies. But anyway, so Simon, what else do we have coming up? We've got a little bit of rugby that we're going to have a quick look at. There's the South Africa versus Oz match. I'm
Yeah.
not sure you want to
Yeah, so
talk too
that I
much
mean,
about that.
unsurprisingly, last week we had a 4.5 point handicap that's now been cut to 1 point in favor of South Africa, which is fair enough. Yeah, I mean, as I said, the Wallabies are quite ruthless in defense last week, and I must say they had a few breaks that went their way, and I can't imagine them being quite so resolute again. So there's something that. in this sort of scenario, a bet that I like is taking a winning margin bet, and I just think that the Bucks are going to inch a close one. That's my feeling for the second one. And we were talking last week about them feeling a bit more settled in. It's obviously quite a
Mm.
long trip to Australia. It's a big time zone difference. They'll just have settled in a bit. Obviously, got a little bit of a shocker last week, so probably just what they need. So I think the Bucks to win a narrow game by 1.7, or sorry, by 1 to 7 points. The only book I can see at the moment that has that mark just kind of being shaped at the moment is WSB,
Uh,
but you'll find
well,
it on bet.co.za and
Betway have
Betway as
the
well.
1 to 7 winning margin.
They do. Okay, that
Yes,
obviously
yes,
have just come up in the last little while.
yes. It's 3.8 over on Betway.
3.8. Okay, so that's a better price too. So I like that. I like that. I'd rather than take the Springboks at 1.9 or 1.85 or even money. I would rather take them on a winning margin at a slightly bigger price.
I like that.
Um,
I like that 1 to 7. The thing is, I like the Springboks -4.5, and I like that 1 to 7. I think you've now talked me into that.
4.5. You
Yes.
mean 1.5?
No, 4.5.
Oh,
minus
you
four and a
mean
half.
as an alternative
Alternative
handicap?
handicap, yes.
Okay,
And
okay,
I'm getting 2.55 on that.
okay.
Because I think, look, I think Australia are going to win this one, but I still feel that South Africa have a shot of winning this. And if they do, South Africa do win it, I think that, like you said, it's going to be close. But I don't think it's going to be like 1 or 2 points. I think it'll be like around 7 points, under 7 points. So that's why I was happy taking the kind of 4.5.
Because then you don't have to worry if it's a blowout, obviously.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So it's between that and that 1 to 7 for me because I think there's value there, but there's more value with your 1 to 7 because it's 3.8. So even if the box lose, I'm not actually losing out much anyway.
yeah.
I mean, what's a 50 rand on that? 50 rand returns almost $200.
Mm.
So
Oh,
that's a
sure.
really nice bet there. And I mean, South Africa 1 to 12 would be even better. I think yeah, WSB do have that, but I'm not sure it'll be a lot shorter.
Yeah, so they don't have the 1 to 12. They've only got the over. Unless they put those by markets up later, as in over, like buy
Okay,
15 plus or
okay.
whatever. So those bands don't include the 1 to 12 just yet, but those markets will become available on most sites. By tomorrow, I would think.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a close match, man. I don't want to pick a winner. I'm going to back South Africa, but I really can't pick a winner.
Mm,
I think if Australia win, it's going to be a close match, which is why I'd be hesitant to back them on any sort of kind of like negative handicap.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, and I don't want to back them on a plus handicap because if I'm backing them on a plus, and and I'm covering that kind of loss of theirs, and I don't know if my logic makes any sense, but if I'm covering them on the +4.5, then I'm sort of like losing out if they do lose by more than that, which
yeah,
it's not helping me all that much, that +4.5. I'd rather just take a straight win.
sure.
But yeah, so I'm going with that. I'm going to go with your 1 to 7 there as well, Simon.
Nice. Yeah, no, looking forward to the game. Though. I hope we can salvage a draw in the series at least with Australia.
And at least it's at 11:35, from what I see
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Thank
So basically,
God.
we've gone from an afternoon, or sorry, an evening kickoff to an afternoon kickoff.
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah,
Works for me at least, then I can be awake for it.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. What's your best bet of the week? You're gonna go with one of your Premier Leagues?
I think my best bet of the week would have to be gosh. I think it's going to be over 2.5 goals in Palace. Brent.
Okay, Palace Brentford over 2.5.
I like that, especially odds against.
Over
Yeah,
2.5, and then let me grab that, and let me then
yeah.
take Arsenal to beat. I think there's going to be goals in that Arsenal Aston Villa game, so I want to actually take a combo bet over here. Arsenal on maybe over. What am I getting on that? Arsenal over 1.5. I'll take that. So we'll take a double here, Simon. We'll put on. We'll
Great.
take over 2.5 in your Crystal Palace versus Brentford, and I'll take Arsenal on over 1.5 against Aston Villa. And that
Nice.
10 rand's going to pay 35 rand back. So let's slap that through. There we go. There's the booking code if anyone wants it. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning into this episode. I'm going to be doing a quick live stream tomorrow night just to do the draw for the prize winners for the 20k special. And I might be playing a few games for that, or a few games after that, rather, for like half an hour or so. But it's not going to be a long one. So if you guys are keen to see if you are going to pick up a prize or a voucher, then tune into the live stream tomorrow, probably about 8 o'clock. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.